Everybody looks so nice,
right.
except for me. I look like an idiot in the other ones. My shirt's all wrinkly. You guys look spiffy. Your shirt's fine. His shirt's fine, but look at me.
I look like a
Maybe because my
football player.
Maybe because my
Yeah, the rules.
I look like the AI images of all the presidents.
Oh, yeah. Oh my God. If the presidents were actually Dominican, that's got to be like that's an all-timer.
I'm so glad I don't know what the hell you're talking about.
Oh gosh.
I was gonna ask you, Maxie,
Yes.
Riley,
Yeah.
Smuggy, Koi Pond.
Oh. My government.
My government.
The government name.
Koi Pond.
Yeah, sure. Let's go with that one. Yeah. Throw them off.
Have you ever encountered the extraterrestrials that walk among us?
No, but that'd be sick. I wish there were more grays walking around.
What do you mean, like actual aliens?
Yeah.
No. You know, I remember that one time you thought something happened in the house, like the elephant fell over, like the elephant statue fell over. Yeah. So I'm gonna derail this from ETs for a second. So Chase is a drummer, right? He plays the drums, he plays piano, but back when he was a kid, he played drums.
Okay, deeply upset.
And what happened is, some weird shit happens in our house sometimes. I'm sure it can be explained. It can't, whatever. I don't care.
Psychics.
Yeah, psychic
evil
shit.
hexes.
Yeah.
But basically,
Italian
what happened
magics.
was Chase had a stand. Like he has elephant shit in his room all over, like when he was a kid. And so he had a stand, I guess it's like a shelf. It was like an elephant shelf on the wall in his room, and it had an elephant on top. Yeah, and then one day, all of a sudden, we hear a crash, bang, and the elephant's, sitting on the shelf or whatever, and we go and check, and the elephant's halfway across the room, broken, banged up, and Chase is like, oh my God, is there a ghost in the house? What the hell? And I'm just sitting there, I'm thinking, I'm like, this dude plays the goddamn drums, and he was just drumming not even a few hours ago. And I go over and I pick it up, and I'm like, I'm like, hey Chase, watch this, and I flip it over how it would have fallen and bounce it all the way up all the way up across the room to the thing. I'm like, hey buddy, I think I figured out what happened. It was so funny.
The mystery's been solved.
It was so funny because he was genuinely kind of freaking out. How did it get all the way across the room? I'm have you ever dropped a rubber eraser in class? One of those shitty pink erasers and dropped it and where the hell did that thing go? And it's all the way in the back of the room or something? Oh no.
That was the elephant.
Okay, so there's more to the story, right? So I'm drumming. Yeah. I would drum back when I was younger. I'd drum for 4 hours at a time. Mm-hmm. It would be a long time. And usually I'd be completely alone. And we were. It was just me and Maxie and the entire house. So I got done drumming. And then I ended up walking away or doing something. And then I noticed that it was on the floor, in the middle, halfway across the room. And I'm like, that's weird. Is that not weird? I mean, it's not like I haven't drummed hundreds of times beforehand and nothing's ever happened. So in my head, I'm just like, yeah, I mean, what's the next logical thing? Oh, somebody died in this house in the 1800s, and they waited until now to show that they existed.
The Italian meatball magic has destroyed the elephant. It's obvious.
It wasn't vibration slowly caused that elephant to scoot across.
Well,
and then eventually it all...
Well, if you're 8 years old, it's the obvious choice.
Well,
12, 14.
What can I say? I'm a slow learner.
I mean, thought it was funny.
Aside from, but that's not extraterrestrial.
It just brought to my mind.
I mean, I guess you could argue it's extraterrestrial, but I mean,
the spirits are among us.
Yeah.
The Italian ghost, much more evil.
Do you believe in ghosts?
No, but when I was a child, right, we moved from. This is a great fucking segue bit. When I was a child, we lived in this crummy suburbs, and my dad was like, "These suburbs are too crummy. It's time to move to the country." And we moved from Bon Air out to fucking bum nowhere, Powhatan, Virginia.
It's like the episode of Always Sunny in Philadelphia where they're like, what is that? And it's crickets outside. And they start losing their mind.
Dude, when I was a kid, there was a bit where we were walking outside in the dark, and there's this screaming sound. I'm like, what the fuck? And my dad's like, oh, that's a fox. I'm like, fuck you, that's not a fox. Foxes are dogs. No.
Yeah.
That's what foxes sound like. They're so fucked up.
Okay, speaking of that, we had a fox in our like we live in like city.
Yeah.
So there was a fox like outside at 3 a.m.
Oh yeah, they love doing that shit.
Like that, it was literally like screaming and like making terrifying noises. I'm like, what the fuck is going on? Because I'm the only one awake, I thought. And I'm sitting there, I look outside, and my mom's awake. She's like, did you hear that too? I'm like, oh, okay. And I'm like, there's something weird out there. And I look in the street, and there's just like 2 dog-looking things there. I'm like, oh, they're just foxes. And I'm like, these things are terrifying.
Yeah, it rules how fucked up foxes and coyotes are.
I'm like, I can't believe they're there. Like, there was deer in our yard before, too. There's no forest where we live.
Yeah, but that's how the Eastern Seaboard is now.
Like, I don't understand
foxes and shit
like
everywhere because that's like we've chopped down all the forests. They have nowhere to go.
And there's like cats living everywhere outside too. You know those guys are gonna eat the cats.
Yeah, they love eating.
No.
But it's nature, Maxie.
Nature
Cats are
sucks.
an invasive species.
Nature sucks, man.
True. Did you know orange tabbies are actually the newest species of cats that we have in our society, which is why they're so prevalent in America?
Oh.
I did know that actually because you said it.
Oh, have I already told you that?
Yes.
Oh, I'm so sorry. Did you know that cats also... No, I'm kidding.
Do you also know that cats are instruments of Satan, viewer? But anyway, back to the ghost story.
Okay.
So, crappy ass place. We moved to this like house that was like a renovated schoolhouse.
What the fuck?
Yeah, like it's a renovated school.
Dude, murder mystery.
It is a renovated schoolhouse patched together in what I can only describe as redneck architecture. Like, it had weird lumps and jumps, and like the staircase to get in the attic was like several grades too steep.
And you got sheet metal lying everywhere.
No sheet metal, unfortunately, but
okay.
A lot of really weird mixed up wood types. The wood type and like. You know how like you have like decorative sheets of wood that have like those like fancy little kind of like they carve out little bits and pieces and little spirals and columns. There's a different type in every fucking room.
What if that was like a
and they were a different color every time. There's like one was like cream colored, one was like green, one was like red, one was like a white and like a yellow.
So, did you move here because of the financial crisis of 2008?
No. This was
out of your father's...
This is early 2000s, right before 9/11. So, he buys this house because it's like near to the plot of land where he's going to build another house eventually when Chesterfield County... or in Powhatan County, because they were fighting over whose district was to, whatever, build a house. Creepy ass old house, very drafty, very noisy, creaks a lot. And as a small, tiny child who only ever lived in like the city suburbs, that fucked me up. Yeah. And one night, I saw like, I wake up in the middle of the night, I'm in like a bunk bed, and I can see on top of like, this little like box thing that acts as our closet with like this big railing, loud car running across it. That's a bad omen. That's a bad omen. Yeah, it's a nice little background sting. I see like 2 spectral cats is what I imagine in like this early morning half awake state on this big railing. And I snap awake and I get like really freaked out about it. I like saw like a spectral little kid running through the hall once. I saw like a spectral old man sitting in a chair. I kind of felt like I saw all these things when I was a child and had all these things. And it was like a thing that I kept to myself until like I told my parents all about it. My parents were like, oh yeah, well that sounds really f***ed up. I'm just sorry, they're just basically going through all these things and telling me to like talk about anytime I felt like scared about the house. And then I just kind of stopped feeling anxious about the house because I just kept talking to my parents about like my anxiety about the house. And I was like, well, you know, it's a creepy old house. Yeah, you know, but it's fine. Don't worry about it. Nothing here is going to hurt you. It's just the country. And then the fox thing happened. And I immediately was like, I hate everything here again. There's monsters outside now.
Have you ever thought about how fortunate we are to not have grown up in like New Mexico or Arizona where coyotes will circle your house and just go like,
yeah, dude. I love coyotes though. I've seen coyotes when I was in Powhatan.
I could never.
But like Western coyotes are even louder.
Imagine that. I'll set the mood for you. Imagine you're in the middle of the desert, staying at an Airbnb. Nice looking place.
It's got the live, laugh, love above the the garage.
A lot of windows, a lot of natural light coming in. It's
one of those stars that like you see above the door.
Yeah.
And a lot of rental places.
And it's got a swimming pool outside. And then you go you and your significant other. You and your significant other, your flame, your twin flame, whoever you're out there with, you go to bed that night. And you wake up an hour later to demonic laughter, screaming, howling, tapping on your door,
yipping. Like a witch is out there, but it's not a witch. It's actually a dog, a hell dog.
But it's not actually a dog. It's actually a skinwalker.
That's right.
Don't let him in. Don't let him in. It's not your
Don't let them in.
Don't let him in.
It is not the Airbnb rental person. Although the Airbnb rental person is a type of skinwalker known as a landlord.
Yeah, I don't know. It's just too scary for. I don't think I could live out in the middle of nowhere. Like even like living out in like Powhatan or somewhere like that is so scary.
Do you remember? Did you see the graveyard when you came to my house that one? Like I lived near a graveyard when I lived out in Powhatan.
Yeah, but you thought because you talked about it, you didn't think these things actually happened?
Well, no, it felt like when I was a little kid, I was like really convinced about it, and nowadays it's like it was just like these were all things that happened like really late at night when I was really tired. And it's like, you get a tired brain and you're a kid with an overactive imagination and is already freaked out about the weird, f***ed up, creepy house in the middle of nowhere in a place that gets significantly darker than you're used to. That house, by the by, actually in the middle of the woods. Like the driveway leading up to the house leads into like a thicker thicket of trees. You can't see the road outside. Like if there's a full moon, you can barely see the moon unless it's like above a certain point. Then it gets really bright outside and then it disappears again as it falls back underneath the trees. Creepy as shit when you're a little tiny ass fucking kid who lived in the suburbs.
That's creepy as shit now. That makes my stomach sink and my butthole sweat. I'm not joking. That's literally...
Yeah. As a child, that house was scary as hell.
The only time my butthole sweats is I'm sitting too long.
I don't know. I don't know how my body works.
Listen, the fear response happens in different ways.
Yeah.
Some people, they...
I get a sweaty butt.
Yeah, you get a sweaty butt. Sometimes they're just like, man, my feet itch because I'm terrified.
Ooh.
I've never gotten that.
Never gotten that either. I have a friend who had that. It was very
weird.
Strange.
I have...
So... What? Okay, so...
Give me the mic. Give me the mic. Give me the mic. It's my turn to talk. I get this weird feeling like when I'm really scared where it's like I go like it's got to be like my adrenaline just like where like the back of my head just feels cold and like my my neck hairs on my neck stand up. That's normal, but then I feel like that one song from when this is so cringe. I feel like that one song from when Rick and Morty when they find out like and they find out evil Morty is still alive and he's there and it just goes
Bro, cut it.
That's what plays in my head when I get super scared. It's just like or like just some like
for me it's like whenever I think of horror situations I have like it's like really weird ambient bass sounds.
I get
Oh, like a Cartoon Network card slide.
No, not like that.
Okay,
there's a film called Nori the Curse that does that sometimes. It's pretty cool. I like that movie.
I get deer in the headlights. Like I just sit there and stare at it, Like I
Pog?
no pogging. It's just like
like
an intense like staring at it back and like not
Yeah.
moving.
Mhm.
Like it's like
Just freeze.
nothing but me and what I'm staring at.
Mm-hmm.
There, nothing else exists. So is that the end of the ghost for you? You
Yeah, just like
never-
I kind of just kept talking about it. I guess I got like a
That
little
ended
less
up-
afraid of the terrifying, fucked up hell house.
So nothing else happened at all. Nothing weird.
Like just weird, creepy shit of like creeping. Like it creaked a lot. Like
boring.
I mean, that's the thing though. Like when you're a child, it doesn't need to be a whole lot of stuff. You know, you're just hyping yourself up about this fucked up shit that could happen to you because you're in a place that you've never been before. You know, is a difference between like you go camping and it's like, oh, you know, I'm camping. You know, bear. It's just all that's out there is bears, and bears aren't all that scary.
Camping's scary as shit. You're just living a different life. I'm
That's
sorry,
true.
because
That's true.
if you think that staying out in the middle of nowhere with no internet connection isn't scary,
It's scary.
it's terrible. I'm more scared.
I've just
it's
gone on
boring.
a lot of camping. I think it's
Like
that's all it was for
Yeah,
me.
we've
It's
been
summers
camping,
upon
but-
summers upon weekends upon weekends.
I guess it doesn't. We don't
Boy
sound
Scouts.
Like it.
That's the reason.
Oh,
That's
yeah,
it. Just
that's
Boy
probably
Scouts.
Oh,
That's
yeah.
it.
Yeah, people who were victims of the Boy Scout.
We'll leave
What?
it there. That's fine. Don't worry about it.
I didn't want to continue.
No.
Hey, I didn't want to continue the bit. I'm sorry.
Yeah, it's okay.
Okay,
It's
whatever.
okay. Don't worry
But-
about it.
I think the only thing I have had that's paranormal in nature, I guess, is in our house, like downstairs when computer rooms were downstairs. Yeah, I know
Yeah,
you used to
yeah.
live
In the
there.
house we grew up in.
Yeah,
Yeah.
still live there.
Nope.
No, well, yeah, because you have a room still. So, but anyway, there's a when we were downstairs, there's like an area that's like got a walk-in closet, and it's like turns into a computer room when it used to be down there instead of upstairs. And so when I was in there, I would always constantly see shadows of my mom walking by back and forth, thinking that like it was her, like
Yeah,
moving.
yeah.
But evidently, from what they told us, it wasn't actually her in the house because she just wasn't home or outside working in the flower bed at the time. So I was seeing visions of like a lady walking back and forth in our house, like in that hallway. And I think, have you seen?
So, and then this story gets a little bit more interesting.
Ooh.
Because not I, but my dad was playing EverQuest.
Best game, by the way. Best MMO. If you haven't played it, try it out. And not the do like Project 1999 or something. Not like or a private server. Nothing live.
So my dad was playing EverQuest, not 1999. He was playing it on the actual live server back then. And my mom wasn't home one day. She went out earlier in the day. And my dad was like, oh, I wonder how she's doing. And she comes home and she walks by, goes and uses the restroom or whatever's back there, goes, walks back, walks into the kitchen, walks into the room where he's playing EverQuest again, walks out. And then the strangest thing happens. The front door opens. And my mom yells, "Hey, honey, just got home." There's more to this story. So,
Okay.
Why are you weaving it like such an important?
because it is.
It's cool.
It's cool.
I mean, this is good.
I'm being a showman. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. I'm trying to make it interesting.
I'm into it. Let's go.
Okay. So, next they come to find out, a few months later, they're talking to our neighbor at the time. And she was a very elderly woman. She was great. She'd always buy us those popcorn tins for Christmas, with the caramel, the cheddar, the white cheddar.
Oh, classic.
Oh,
The-
why we haven't been.
Yeah, that's why we don't get them anymore. She's dead. And this story's about her.
Dead as hell.
But but they're talking to her, and my dad goes, we've been looking through to see what, we wanted to see if you had any pictures of the property from back in the day or this or that.
Mm-hmm.
She says, you know what? I actually have a few photos. And she pulls out a photo of the house Maxie and I grew up in. And she goes, yeah, this was the house right here. And she points to it, and there's a lady standing in the picture who looks exactly like my mother.
Damn, that's fucked up.
And my
That
dad
rules.
and my dad at that point loses his shit because he's like, wait, what? This is, and he's like pointing, and he's like, this is not my wife. This looks just like my wife. And my neighbor, I don't want to out my neighbor's name, but my neighbor goes, I always thought your mom and the woman who used to live here looked identical. They even sounded the same. And I was like, that's weird. My dad always thought that was weird. Personally, in the house, I only had 2 things happen that were really scary. One of them was I was up on the 2nd floor hanging out with all my friends, and we were up there just chilling. It was just all of these like kids, right?
Mm-hmm.
Maxie wasn't home. I don't know where. I think you were at school at that point. You were in college, and I'm hanging out up there, and nobody's supposed to be home for the entire night. I just got off the phone with my mom and dad, and I was like, when are you guys coming home? They said about 3 or 4 hours from now. About 10 minutes later, after I got off the phone, we're all sitting up there playing games, like a board game, or like talking to each other, just making dumb jokes.
Mm-hmm.
And I hear the back door swing open.
Ooh,
and I hear footsteps, like loud, audible footsteps. And I hear shit moving downstairs. And I go, that's not my parents. And that's not Maxie. And then me and my friends, 2 of my friends out of like this group of like 7, right? We only have 1 car in the driveway, by the way.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not parked like in the driveway. It's parked like to the side of the driveway at that point because we didn't know when they would be home and if they'd use the driveway.
Mm-hmm.
So it looks like nobody's home. So you get where I'm going with this. Nobody looks like they're home and the back door just swung open. So me and my friends start walking, tiptoeing down the steps. Me and 2 brave individuals of the whole group start tiptoeing down the steps. And I have like a letter opener, and Maxie collects letter openers. So I have like a knife and a letter opener that were up there.
Collect is a weird word. I just got them somehow. I keep getting like I collected, but like I never really collected them. I just thought like 2 were cool, and I had them, and then they just started giving me letter openers like I collected them. I'm like, whatever, I don't care.
Yeah. So luckily we were near Maxie's room, so we tiptoed in there, and then we start going down the steps to see who it is and what's happening. And halfway down the steps, one of my friends slips a little bit, and it makes a thud, and then we hear "God damn it" to one of our friends saying "God damn it," and then we hear nothing, like dead silence, like a weird dead silence, and then we hear running, and just we hear somebody run out of my house in like the middle of like 9 p.m., 10 p.m., something like that. Run out of the house, drop everything on the ground, and then they run out. The back door was still open.
Fuck.
Dude, that was terrifying. That wasn't extraterrestrial, though. That was just somebody breaking into a house.
Yeah, that was just something fucked up. I have a similar story to that if you are done.
Yeah, I have another story. And that's just like...
So you just told the story. You told the story like it was some ghost, and then it was just somebody breaking into our house.
Yeah, but that's cool. It's cinematic. That's fucked up when you're a kid. When you're younger.
Scary as shit.
That's the scariest shit in the world.
Yeah.
But what I'm saying is, we're talking about ETs. We're going to be talking. We haven't said anything about this yet.
Wait. Well, I was going to say, because this leads into the other thing, which is, after that happened, I was a little creeped out. So I was a little bit more on high alert. About 2 years later after that, I'm in my bed and I'm laying down. Nobody's home.
Mm-hmm.
And I hear walking upstairs. And I go, what the hell? And I hear definite walking. It's not like, oh, somebody might be walking, or maybe something's tapping up there. Maybe it's like raining a little bit. No, I hear like footsteps walking.
Mm-hmm.
And at that point, I'm like, no, I'm a little scaredy cat. I'm not going to go check it out. But it's so loud of walking that I'm like, maybe something's falling up there. Maybe it's maybe I'm just mishearing it. Maybe it's a pipe. I go up there, I hear it, and I go up the staircase. And right when I get up to look, silence. And at that point, like my whole body just like had that feeling of dread.
Yeah.
Like something's watching you, or you're like
cold sweat.
You're in a place you shouldn't be.
Mm-hmm.
So I go downstairs, and I don't remember what I think. Actually, yes, I do. I go downstairs, I go out my front door, and I get in my car. That's how scared I was. And I looked up at the windows, and I was just waiting for something weird to happen. Because it made my skin crawl. You know?
Yeah.
I mean, you hear walking. And then my dad said that he's heard the same thing. He's heard walking in different places.
Yeah.
Like all around. And I'm like, is it a pipe thing? He's like, no, I ran the pipes in here. I know exactly where they're at. He's like, there's no pipes that lead up over there. And I was like, so what is it? And he's like, I don't know. And I knew, and we have a cat. And I looked for the cat. We looked for Muffins every time. Muffins has never been there when that happened.
Damn.
She's always been in a different place. I always rule that out. So that's my only experience with like
really creepy shit.
Really creepy ghost shit. Now the extraterrestrial shit, that's a different story. Okay.
So on top of like, well, I don't know if it's ghost thing, but like, well, barring like seeing them out of the corner of my eye, I would also hear like. I can explain, like you can explain it away as like auditory hallucinations while you're being a kid, you know?
Yeah.
But it was so clear in my head every time. Like I would see it and like I would go out to check like where mom was, right? With the walking back and forth. And she was always outside. And I'm like, it was like that, right? Yeah. I'm like, there's no way you covered this much ground in the 2 seconds it got. Like it took me to be scared, jump up and look for you. Yeah. And then I'm sitting there too. And I would hear my name, like my name from somebody I didn't know in my head. And I would be like, who the hell said that? And that shit freaks you out because you're like, you know, in your head, like you probably just, you know, your brain just ticked and you think somebody said your name and nothing did. But like, it was clear as day that it did for some like I don't know how to really rule it out outside of just like being a kid and just hearing random shit with auditory hallucinations. And then I was with Sarah and Aaron were over and we were like playing like hide and seek or whatever. We were like 10 11 something like that. Like we're playing hide and seek and we were in the closet in the computer room on the second floor, the one that's now the desk space. We were both in it could be like someone fucking with us, like Aaron maybe, but like I was in the back corner of it and I heard something talk, like something manly, like demonic-y, you know, say something in that corner. And I got so you know how you turn into the furthest corner from you. So if you're looking at the closet like this, that one.
Of which room?
The desk, like the old computer room.
Dude, okay. That room.
This
okay.
rules.
I'm sorry.
I'm intensely
right. So
this is my shit. Like this is absolutely my shit.
The thing I rationalized about it was like like Aaron obviously with us, right?
Is his name Aaron? I thought it was Ari.
Ari. He used to be called Aaron. That's what his nickname was.
His real name is Ari?
Yeah, his real name's Ari.
Yeah, because he's not.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's immigrant family.
Yeah. So but we called him Aaron because that was his nickname.
Yeah, I forgot because I always called him Ari.
I'm pretty sure. I could be misremembering, but we call him Ari.
No, I remember calling him Aaron when we were little, but I know his name is Ari.
Yeah.
Ari. No, don't dox him. Don't dox him. He lives on. No,
I don't know where he lives. No, I haven't talked to him since like 12 years old.
I was gonna say that room is like. I've asked random people how they feel about the house when they're in it, and that room, and then the top floor.
Really? Well, it's weird because our house has 3 stories, don't act like we're rich. We built it. So the third,
and it's an attic.
so the only two places that were originally in the house was so the first floor, a little bit of the second floor, and then that was it. There was we had to build a garage too. So we expanded the house. So like the dining room area we expanded on that, pushed it over. We built a second floor. That's our rooms. Like we expanded our rooms on the second floor. So our rooms are new. The dining room or something with it is like expanded a little bit, and the entirety of the third floor is new stuff. So there's no reason for there to be anything happening on the third floor.
Demons travel up.
Spirits, baby.
Yeah.
Spirits, baby.
No, but people get freaked out. That's where I've been the most like, whoa, what the hell? Because it's like, I don't know what it is. I mean, this is the same, like, what's the scariest part of Papa Snap's house when we were there? Yeah, the back room. Yeah, the red living room and the back rooms. Yeah. It's like those are the scariest place. And you ask anybody in the family, what are the scariest parts of that house? And they say the same thing. It's not like it's like a universal truth. It's I don't know.
What scares you the most? Weird, creepy places. You just get a vibe sometimes.
Yeah.
Like
that was like that entire, like that's, again, 80% of the reason why I was so fucking freaked out about that house. It's just a weird fucking vibe to go from a neighborhood to just a place that like gets dark way fucking earlier than everywhere else. It's like 3 p.m. That motherfucker is dark. You got to start turning on lights, know?
Did you, our, the bottom floor bathroom?
Yeah.
You know that little cubby area? Like, do you feel anything there? Like when you're...
I guess not. Like, it's kind of like an older house,
but the thing is, I think it's like, that feels weird to me sometimes, but I think it's like, there's tons of wiring there. So it's probably like what's it called? EMF?
Electromagnetic frequency
so it's like,
stuff, yeah.
Because, like, the EMF there has to be high as hell because there's so many wires that, like, run through that area for that light and the stuff. So it's like, and you're going through doorways of it. So it's just like, that's also, like...
and I'll say this, I've never felt scared in, like, the kitchen or, like, the living room or, like...
It's just always...
Yeah, it's always... It's once you...
be in there and look at it and be like, that's something.
Yeah, you look at that closet cubby and you go like, this is weird. And then you go into the back room for too long and you're like hustling out of there. Because you're not like terrified. You're just like, something ain't right back here.
I will say, in the old house that we had lived in, we had sold it to my grandma and my grandfather at the time. And my grandfather died 10 years later or something like that. And anytime I think we would go back there to my grandma's house and go back to that old house and have like a meal or a dinner or whatever, and I would walk into that room, it just felt more fucked up being in that room because that was the room my grandfather had died in. Yeah. It was like that one thing felt more fucked up than anything else. Like, I don't know. The stuff that scares us is always so intriguing to me.
Well, I don't...
It creeps us out, I guess. Maybe not scared, I
don't even think I believe in ghosts. I think that's too kind. You know what I mean? Life would be too kind if that was I don't know, I'm getting a little personal philosophy here, but it doesn't make sense, and I know these things happen, so I don't know how to explain it. It wasn't quite as there's no aha moments like picking up the elephant and being like, yeah, you just played the drums. It's just there's really no way to explain this outside of my brain fucked up, something happened to where I just heard something and just wildly misinterpreted it.
Do you want me to just do a real short thing before you get to whatever you're talking about? Okay.
I will say I have a moment where there's no explanation for it, and I'm not the only person that was there, and I'll talk about it afterwards.
Okay, so just kind of speaking on my brain fucked up thing. Have you ever heard of the Brock Inspector?
No.
Okay, so it's this thing that kind of happened in Germany, where they were talking about like how it happened, and they see like these shadowy figures and people on top of these mountains and stuff like that.
Shadow Man,
Kind of. But what they basically like explained it as is that it's like a shadow on top of a mountain is like, a rock or a tree or like a piece of shrubbery gets like projected across fog or like rain clouds or like just sheer kind of haze of distance and looks like this big, huge shape in the distance. And there was a TikTok video I saw of this dude in this like on top of like one of those mountains or whatever when it was really, really misty, and like he can see like his shadow is just this giant big shape, and he's kind of like running around. He's kind of like running sideways and holding his phone sideways while he's running, and it's just this it looks like a big giant chasing him sideways. And the caption basically was like, imagine living in the 1700s and seeing some shit like this and not believing that the whole world is haunted and full of demons. Like, yeah, I can see that kind of shit,
Dude. Okay. So this is my unexplained one.
Okay.
Is everybody good? Can I do this?
Yeah.
Because this might be the last one for today.
Yeah.
What about the UFO?
This is it.
Oh, this is it. Okay.
So, my buddy and I were talking while he was going through a rough patch in his relationship, and he was breaking up with his fiance. We were walking along the waterfront, and we would oftentimes sit in between where we both lived near the waterfront. We would meet up halfway. We didn't live on the waterfront, but we lived close to it, enough to it to meet halfway. So, and it's a beautiful scenery. So he walked over to me, and then we took a walk and we took a stroll, and we sat down at the waterfront, and he's talking, and he's saying, sometimes I feel like, what happened between her and I feel like maybe I'm, more to blame in some ways. And I was like, no, it's okay, man. Sometimes, things just happen, and how you feel is how you feel. You can't really change that. And he looks at me and he goes, well, what do you think I should do? Do you think I should still talk to her after they've broken up? And I go, well, that's a hard one. And as I'm saying this, and I'm talking about how I'm feeling about his situation, I'm like, dude, I must be hallucinating. Because I see out of the water comes up this light orb, like the size of like a car, right? It comes up out of the water, stays stationary like, maybe 100 feet away from us.
Yeah.
Turns, I can see it like wiggle a little bit, and then it shoots into the sky. And I'm like, dude, I'm losing it, but I didn't stop my train of thought, and I keep going, and if you really want to be friends with somebody after you've been with them, maybe you should just maybe you should just keep your distance.
Aliens aside, just
I was like, maybe you should just keep your distance, and for now, and if you guys get close to each other again after that, that's how you know if it'll work or not. And then he goes, yeah, so are you gonna pretend like you didn't just see that? And then I'm like, oh my God, I thought I was a psycho, dude. I was getting ready to go to the hospital after
You're like,
this.
yeah, anyway, sorry, man. I got to go check myself into a mental hospital. I think a green man just took off in his space Honda.
Like, I said that, and I was like, dude, I was freaking out. I thought you didn't see that. He's like, no, I saw that shit. And we just sat there for like hours afterwards, just being like, what the was that? And we are both not people who believe in aliens or ghosts, really. So
the Anunnaki.
Yeah, like so we were like, and we're thinking like, oh, we were by a military base. Maybe it's like some military operation, which could have been a drone of some sort. We didn't hear anything though. This was complete silence.
Dead silence.
So when all of this is happening, I'm looking at my friend Angel, and I'm like, hey man, like, what do you think it was in like a year ago? This was like 7 years ago. A year ago. He still messages me, and we're like best friends. We talk all the time. He's like a brother to me. So he sent me a message in the middle of the night being like, I think it was a lightning orb.
Okay.
Like, we're still trying to figure it. 7 years later, we have no idea what the it was. Dude, and that's what I said. I said, no, dude, that's too fast. If it starts charging up and it like goes up into the sky, it doesn't stop and then like go off in a direction into the atmosphere.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like a lightning orb would be like it constantly moves erratically. Like I would
not to cut you off, or like ball lightning real?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay. I'm just
actually happens.
because I've seen videos of it. And I'm like, I don't know if this is like computer generated or like what, you know, because I'm not, you know, I'm always, you know, a little skeptical of it because, you know, like electricity is kind of easy to like.
Yeah, it's real fucking.
Like, you know.
But the other thing too is it was yellow. It was just like bright yellow, like a warm, non-fluorescent yellow. And it just, even to today, I think about that moment and I was like, that was like otherworldly shit. Like, and I don't mean like it had to have been an alien. I mean, that was shit I've never seen in my life before. It's like, it's literally like going to like Japan and seeing like their light rail system, and you lived in a village in Japan that never went to the city ever before in your life. And you only like rode on like horses.
Or just like you're from like, I don't know, some like weird mountain civilization, and
you're in the Amish smoking big doinks.
Yeah, and then you're suddenly like, oh my god, cars can go this fast.
Yeah,
like you're in the African like wilds, and you're like a little tribe, and then all of a sudden there's a fucking drone flying at you, and they're just throwing sticks.
Yeah, dude.
It's just like, oh, okay, that's like the level of advancement like between like a ball lightning shooting somewhere off at like 10 miles, like 100,000 miles per hour.
But it came from out of the water. Like that was the biggest thing for both of us. Is like, if it's lightning, usually it wouldn't. I mean, I would imagine balls of lightning don't like easily accumulate from under the water,
yeah.
And then we see it come.
Did the water like,
yes, we saw it come out of the water. It came like directly out, like and then stopped, and then we were looking at it, and then I was trying to console him about his relationship, and then it flew off into the like literally like picked the direction and went but didn't make any noise, zero noise, which was like the only other time where something weird like that has happened in that spot. It was him and I driving around one day, and we saw a car. And I don't know why, but we both pointed out that car. And then we drive around the second time, the car is completely engulfed in flames. And nobody, even the people out there, have no idea how. The person's whose car it was, who was watching the water, is like, what the fuck? And he came out and was like, I was like, did you have a cigarette? Were you smoking something? He's like, no. And I was like,
was
and your car just... No, this is before Teslas.
Oh, okay.
So
fair enough.
It was safe.
Safe.
We're a little bit safer.
Yeah,
just slightly safer. Less spontaneous explosions back then, really.
But like, it was in the same area as that thing, and I'm like, and I'm not. Sorry, I don't know why that happened. I'm a man. I don't know. It's just weird enough that it happened so close to the spot where we saw that happen. And there's been a lot of stuff in our area having to do with like the military. I'm not saying it's the military. Please don't come and kill me. I didn't see anything. No
the
specific
space death
schematics.
ray fired by Dr. John Money is not real.
Yeah, but I didn't. Yeah, John Money, please, if you're out there still
a lich.
hitting me with the trans gun, hitting all of us with the trans gun.
That's right. He's got it pointed directly at us.
So where on the like how far down is it?
Without getting too into detail, it's
slowly placing it together.
Like near the same area where the boat was on fire.
He's using his Surlock powers to imagine it.
You remember where the pipe's at? The pipe where we went fishing and stuff?
Oh yeah, and we lost the... So we went fishing there, and we had like it was made out of foam, like styrofoam. It was like a cooler styrofoam. And then the one thing that the person on the property said not to do was to litter. And the styrofoam blew into the water, and there was nothing we could do to get it back. And so we were like, "Oh my God, we can't get it back." They let us on their property to fish. Mm-hmm. We were like, "Yeah, okay, thanks." And we did the one thing they told us not to do on accident because the cooler was made out of styrofoam.
Yeah,
I wanted to.
Those things fucking suck ass.
But it was right by there. It was those benches, because I sat down with Angel on that bench, and we looked out over the water. And I mean, I have great moments and memories from over there to begin with, like nights when it would like snow and the snow would compact and we could snowboard. There's moments I almost died there.
Hell
like,
yeah.
Yeah, like when we were snowboarding, we took a boogie board out there too one time.
Yeah.
And I was riding it, and I kept going, and I wasn't going to stop, and I was going to go right over the edge into rocks, into water.
Mm-hmm. Fun type.
And
fun type of death. Yeah.
Angel jumped and grabbed me at the last second, and the boogie board just like right off. And I was
Skips like a stone.
Yeah, and I was like, holy shit, in the like freezing cold water. But I mean, I've been in that area so much, and it doesn't give me the heebie-jeebies, but there is a magnitude of like
weird shit magnet.
Of like what the fuck is going on there.
Just weird shit all the time.
Yeah.
Hell yeah.
I don't get it. I mean, but that was my story. That was my ET story. And my dad's told me stories of his friends like seeing similar things together too. Like it was just like a group of people, and they swear they all saw it. And like it's all been around this area, around that area. And I'm like, I'm not saying aliens are real.
Haunted shit magnet.
Yeah, I'm not saying ghosts are real. I'm not saying aliens are real. I'm not saying it's the military. I'm just saying it's weird as shit. It's weird because you can never convince me that didn't happen. Because both Angel and I saw it. Both Angel and I saw it.
So, if the military are doing something on the lake, what happened to Chessie?
The Chesapeake
the
Bay
Chesapeake
monster.
Loch Ness monster. Chessie.
Listen, the military used a torpedo to assassinate Chessie, clearly.
No.
The military has killed Chessie in the 80s.
That's so sad.
80s? No.
That's right, Chessie's dead.
And you thought Glass-Steagall was the worst thing Bill Clinton did?
Absolutely not.
Oh my God.
You thought the Arsenio Hall bit was the worst thing that Bill Clinton did?
Like, have you ever seen like Chessie at all? I haven't. I know it's probably 100% fake, but you know what I mean. Like, I haven't seen shit.
I don't know. When you talk about the ocean and shit being fake, it's so hard for me to believe because, like, if you look up the news, like a week ago, Japan finds like a giant 50-foot squid in their waters, and I'm like
weird fish that we've never seen before are washing up on the Philippines. Weird shit. The ocean's fucked up and weird.
Yeah.
Those Titanic submarine guys, they got what was coming to them. They don't fuck with Poseidon. It's evil.
I'm just saying, like,
the ocean is bad. Yeah. Man was not meant to be in the sea.
Yeah, I'm just saying Chessie, Ogopogo, Nessie. Those three specific things, I'm pretty sure aren't true.
What is Ogopogo?
Ogopogo is the Canada one.
Oh, cool.
Ogopogo. I thought you were talking about the the dance show for kids.
Oingo Boingo?
No, not Oingo Boingo.
Oingo Boingo is a band.
What's the one? It has the guy,
Winkles?
the glasses, and he's dancing all the time.
I don't know what you're talking about.
And it's like costumes. They're all dancing.
No idea. The weird YouTube kid stuff.
No, it's a real show. Don't make.
I don't watch children's media. I'm sorry.
It's like, oh man, people in the audience are gonna be screaming the name.
Scream. I have no idea.
It's got the orange hat.
Blippy?
Not Blippy. It's not.
That's the only one I know.
You always bring up Blippy.
Because he's the only one that exists in my mind.
No,
children's media is fake too.
No, it's not Roly Poly Oly. It's just like dancing, and they're like, Yo Gabba Gabba.
Oh,
Oingo
okay.
Boingo. More like Yo Gabba Gabba. Oh my God. That took me way too long to get to it.
That took you so fucking long, dude. That was
hey,
like 3
thanks
minutes.
for watching. Great bit.
Yeah, we're all going to die after the YouTube kids declares a fatwa on us and assassinates us in our homes.
We could bleep it.
Like the military.
Reviews?
Oh God.
You think he's gonna get us?
Yeah, dude, he's gonna hire an internet hitman to fucking string Maxie up.
Before we end, I think the one thing I would hate to see is just like some monster, right? Not like a evil being or like a Dracula or something, but like looking out into the backyard or something and then seeing like white deformed figures like walking across the yard and doing their own thing. I think that would do something like
there's a whole all the internet art about that stuff rules, and
we're never gonna end this podcast because I have a story about
fuck yeah, I also have a story.
I'll make
listen,
mine quick.
they're good stories.
I'll make mine quick. I'll make it quick.
I don't want to know it.
Oh, okay. I'll make mine quick. So there was this one's a little bit different, but it still has to do with monsters and stuff. When people were dressing up for they were dressing up as clowns all over.
Yeah.
And they actually had people go missing at random times, and they ended up finding a lot of them, and they were just like weird accidental cases, like people go missing all the time and then they're found like immediately after.
Yeah.
But there was a case in Virginia of somebody going missing, and then there was like a clown with an AK like near a school at one point. At least that was what I was hearing on the news.
Yeah,
you remember that?
Yeah, I do remember that. Yeah.
I thought
there's a real thing that happened.
Yeah, okay. So I'm driving home one night at 3 a.m.
Yeah.
And I get down the street that connects to my street.
Mm-hmm.
And I look to the right, and there's a bus stop. And there's a guy standing there in a full clown outfit at 3 a.m, just standing there. And he looks at me, and he does this the entire time. He makes eye contact with me as I'm driving by, and his head does this. He follows me. And then I get home. I have never had some more heebie-jeebies in my entire life.
That's the thing. That's just some shit that would f you up so goddamn hard.
And he's probably fucking with people, but at the same time, what if he's just a fucking maniac?
Yeah, I mean, this is some guy having the world's most artistic mental breakdown.
Did you go down our street, or did you drive around after that?
I drove down the street like this and then did the left to the other street that connects to our street. So if you get what I'm saying, where the church is at. So I was on the street where the church is at and where Angel used to live. I'm on that street. I'm trying so hard not to dox myself right now. But on the street where Angel used to live, down that, I took a left, took a right. Yeah, that shit was... I mean, it literally like...
on the main road.
I mean, I got so many stories of people, like, but that was almost one of those moments where it was like a monster,
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
I mean,
you're just like this is not something that you're supposed to see at 3 a.m. in the fucking morning.
And
right?
I thought I was like losing it again, and I kept staring at him, and it was cool.
It's kind of what makes me think like in my brain, it makes me want to think that these people are all in on something somewhere at some higher like section of...
Oh yeah, we're getting into QAnon shit, but with clowns. QAnon clowns.
It's like that shit is just weird how like so many people, because like think about Area 51, right? People didn't fucking do that, even though they all said they were going to do that. But then this clown shit happens, and nobody's even saying they're going to do it, and it happens.
Yeah.
Something is fucked
I
up.
don't know if that's like some shit where it's like 20 years from now we're going to get a deathbed confession of some dude who's like, yeah, I was running an IRC chat with 20 different people across the nation to f people up during the IT craze to try to create like to give people schizophrenia about clowns or something.
But here's the problem. There's no fucking buddy doing IRC chat. Like, okay, listen. You have internet computer fucking nerds doing IRC chats during this time, because it's not like it's fucking 2005.
But what I'm saying is, I mean, if you're suggesting a clown cabal Illuminati, that's how far you got to go to keep shit like a bit more secret.
I think it's
like
probably,
there's a Telegram chat. Telegram.
There's probably some millionaire who is with people who's like, I'm gonna hire a bunch of people to dress up as clowns and then stand outside for like 3 weeks.
Sounds like plausible.
I mean, I'm not saying it doesn't happen.
I think it's more plausible than getting a group of people together
to do it on their own volition. Yeah.
They're doing it around the country. There's no fucking
dude, it's just weird that same like week I hear that somebody's missing and there was a clown with a assault rifle near a school, and then I see a clown who's not armed, but he's just standing at 3 a.m. at a bus stop.
Yeah,
That's scary. Like, that's not like scary in like a, oh, he's being edgy kind of way. Like, oh, whatever, edgy dude.
Yeah, because like, I think, okay, so there's a thing where they could be edgy, right?
Mm-hmm.
But there's also
Monster drinker, cookie monster
like,
hat.
Yeah.
It's kind of like a disconnect
3
for
DUIs.
because like there's something that people can do or say that as soon as I see them do it, I think there's something off about them, and it gives me, and maybe it's intentional, who knows? But like they can do it. I was eating with a guy that I invited online, like to because I was visiting somebody in a different state, and I knew them from a group chat, and we were talking and having an okay time. You know, they're socially awkward because they're online, but then they say something, and it was something to do with like going to a foreign nation, and like they said something about like fucking having sex with like some random hooker or something. And I'm like, as soon as they said that, my brain went, ding, you're a fucking psychopath. Yeah. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that is.
Shut the, like what? Like, it could have been a joke or something, you know, just to like shoot some shit. But like saying it like the way they did and how they said it, and
like
how
it's like a veneer of seriousness that doesn't feel jokey.
And I'm like, you have a problem. Like there's something off about you, and I don't want to be here anymore. Like I don't want to talk to you right now.
Something's fucked up in the air tonight.
I could talk about this and Phil Collins for like 3 hours because I have so many moments where I've met people and that key turns in my head and I go, oh, you're like a psycho.
Yeah, this is something very threatening. Okay,
yeah, go ahead.
I'm gonna change my story. Okay, I have 2 stories. One's really short.
Yeah, do both of them.
Okay, do both of them. One of them was just like I was coming home from like prom. It's really late at night. It's like 10 p.m. or some shit like that. And finally, after all this time, like I'm getting out of the car and I see my headlights are still on. I get out of the car. My headlights are shining down the driveway, and there's just this big fucking dog, like. Not like a coyote, like a really, really big dog. Yeah, like a Saint Bernard sized like dog.
I love Saint Bernard.
That's just there. This is not my dog. My dog does not look like, it's like, this is definitely not my dog. It's a different coloration. It's like bright white against the headlights. And I'm just like sitting there stock still. I'm like, okay, there's a strange dog in my driveway in between me and my house. I'm going to get back in my car. So I just get back in my car, close the door, and the dog just kind of turns around after I slam the door and just walks away. Not like runs, just like turns around, walks away. And I'm like, all right, I'm waiting for like 5 more minutes.
Dude.
I'm sticking in the car for 5 more minutes. I've seen Cujo. I'm not fucking having this happen to me, motherfucker. This is a Cujo-ass moment.
So the dog's like looking at you?
Yeah, it was like staring into the headlights at me getting out of the car. And I'm like
through the window?
No, like I'm outside of the car. I'm like open my car. The headlights are on because it's dark and I just want to like
I was imagining like you're in the car and the headlights are on them and the dog's looking at you through the window and then you get out and he follows you. That would be that gave me
that was my concern. Was like I'm still like holding onto the door and about to turn the headlights on. I just see this dog. I'm like, that's not my dog. I'm getting back in the car. This is fucked. I'm waiting for this to leave.
Can I tell a story about a dog? It's super quick.
Okay.
So I'm driving around at night, of course, but I'm going to Crawford Bridge, which is historically known in Virginia. If you're a person in Virginia, you probably know this. If you're not, you probably don't. Crawford Bridge is one of the most famed haunted places in all of Virginia.
Hell yeah.
Everybody knows about Crawford. If you've been to it once, you know what it's like. It's kind of spooky. It's got a weird vibe to it. And some people drive it every day and they're fine with it. It really just depends how you, I think, are told about Crawford Road. Even people who have to drive it every day tell me to not tell them this story. So I don't tell them the story because it would freak them out too much. But I have a bunch of stories about it. But I'm only going to tell one, and I'll tell the other ones maybe a different podcast, maybe closer to Halloween. That would be cool.
Oh, yeah, more Halloween craziness.
But I'm driving around, and at this time, it was one of my friends, and I think it's always when they're going through a rough time, you know?
Oh, yeah.
So
it's that really fucked up mindset you get into. Hell yeah.
So we're driving, and there is a Labrador, like a chocolate lab.
Yeah.
And we drive past it. And something strikes me about it. I go, that's weird. It just stood out as like a weird dog. Nobody near it, just in the middle of a front yard somewhere.
Yeah.
Just like similar, just sitting there watching people.
Yeah, yeah.
We keep driving, maybe 10 minutes. I go, shit, I pulled into the wrong place. My GPS cuts off. My internet's out. I was like, what the f***? So weird. I go to back up. The dog is behind me. I've been driving for 10 minutes. And either it's 10 p.m., 11 p.m., late in middle of the night.
Yeah, yeah.
And there are two Labradors walking around. Or in my head and in my friend's head, that's the same lab because they look the exact same.
Yeah.
And I go to back up and the dog moves a little bit. And I go to back up some more. I don't know how he got behind me because I was driving for 10 minutes.
Yeah, yeah.
So I'm like, what the f***? This dog's not moving. When did he get behind us? And I get out and we go and the dog does like the most undog thing. And it just calmly walks to the side of the car and then looks at us. And I'm flooring it at this point because the dog's just looking at me.
Yeah,
it's just
hell dog.
It's just going.
Yeah, that's not a dog thing to do at all.
And I back out and I just start driving. And like eventually after like 5 minutes, my internet cuts back on. Everything cuts back on. I had no idea where I was at around Crawford. But I'm telling you, we saw this dog in a front yard near Crawford, drove 10 minutes in the opposite direction, and there was a dog that either looked the exact same and was out on a leash, like without a leash. Dude, there's so many stories about Crawford. Holy shit. I'm remembering all of the creepy shit. Because oh my God, dude. Okay. All right. Go ahead with yours. There's
I was just gonna end it on as far as bad. You're like talking about like the bad vibes and shit like that. It reminds me of the one other like big kind of like, oh, this person I've walked into a conspiracy person who might be very dangerous and is in front of me.
Hey everyone, sorry about this. After we filmed this episode, we all came to the conclusion that Riley should not tell this story because it gives away too much personally, and we'd rather have be on good terms with people. So sorry about that. I hope you enjoyed the episode so far. I'm still editing it. I don't know if there's any more after that. If there's not, thanks for watching. I'll see you on the next one. We'll all see you on the next one. Bye-bye.